guys, are we ready for the very final session of the DG ad stage today? How are we feeling? Yeah? Good? Exciting. Okay, so sustainability. What does it mean, sustainability, to you guys? Does it mean being green, doing the right thing? It could mean so much more. And I think it's incredibly exciting when you see case studies in real-life applications that bring sustainability to life in a way that it's impactful, it's another engine for growth, and it can deliver brilliant ideas that stand up meaningfully in a market. So, all of that said, bit of housekeeping. Remember to tag content, pictures, learnings, anything that grabbed your attention and you loved on social media, hashtag MedFest London 2020, sorry, MedFest 2025, and go for a gander after this session to see the sponsors and all the beautiful food stall and everything more that is at the back. And now, without further ado, the final session for the day, closing in style. We got both the wonderful Annalisa Tedeschi, who will push the bar and make sustainability something bigger and better with all her mighty, and Pippa Morris, that will make of inclusion her ammunition and superpower to make sure that things really come through with a force. So, big round of applause for Annalisa and Pippa.
Hello, hello. Can you hear us okay? All right. I'm aware we're standing between you and lunch, but I think we will stimulate your appetite and cravings on all things sustainability and brand growth.
Okay, so yes, we are talking about sustainability. Confusingly, despite the fact that we are both wearing green and most of our deck is also going to be green, we're not just talking about environmental sustainability, we're also talking about people. So when you think about sustainability in this talk, we're thinking about the whole plethora of what it can mean. So let's get into it. Thank you for our kind introduction already. Just a reminder, I'm Pippa Morris, Head of Strategy at Revolt. Revolt is a positive impact communications consultancy.
And my name is Annalisa Tedeschi. I am Head of Sustainable Marketing at Diageo. If you don't know Diageo, I'm sure you have enjoyed some of our products when socializing, like Johnny Walker, Smirnoff, Don Julio, Guinness, and many more. So today we're going to offer a new perspective on how to integrate sustainability to drive creativity, to drive innovation, and to drive better brand building.
Okay, let's first cover the elephant in the room, sustainability as a word. We think it's pretty loaded. There's been lots of geopolitical change, cultural, societal change over the last few years, and I think sustainability is somewhat getting stuck in the crossfires of these. So to understand that a little bit more and understand what people mean by it, we've asked 50 brand marketeers the first 3 words that they associate with sustainability as a bit of language. Like, what is their gut reaction to what it means?
Hold on. Before the big reveal, I need to engage you guys. I want a bit of audience engagement, so let's try this out. You're going to lift your left arm and point towards the left. You're not able to do it. Let's try it again. Try your capacity to lift your left arm, point towards the left. Yeah! If you will agree with the statement that we will show on the left. And same thing to the right. Let's try it out just to be sure. You lift your right. Okay, so, and please be honest, right? We need to be honest between ourselves. Let's go.
Okay, sustainability. What do you think? Is it inspirational or is it impenetrable? Oh, we've got a very positive crowd today.
So clearly we're talking about an audience of converted-ish. But it's okay. So, do you think it resonates more with brand responsibility, so something the brand have to do? Or is there a reward at the end? Is there something, a gain for the brands in sustainability? Okay, right, you're making my life not easy. All right, it's okay. It's both. And actually, I agree.
Oh. So, is it about doing our part, doing our bit, probably the bare minimum just to feel good, or is it about leading the charge?
I like it. Thank you. So this one comes up a lot in organizations. Is sustainability something that everyone has to do across all functions, Or is it not a marketing job? Be honest. Okay. So it goes across. Thank you. Last one.
Is it about innovation, creating new, interesting, different ways of thinking and doing things? Or is it about preservation? Is it about mitigating risk, staying with the status quo? Some people on the fence.
It's
Both.
And I think this is also true, right? So it drives a lot of innovation, but it's also a must-do for risk management and supply resilience.
Okay, so I'd say in this crowd, happily very optimistic and positive. When we asked 50 marketeers, I guess that's why you're sitting here, right? We asked 50 marketeers what they thought. First 3 words, gut reaction. So we had lots of positives: change, green, future, betterment, smarter thinking, different ways of thinking, hope, and then of course the obvious, the recycling comes in every time. But there was also some less positive language. So it can feel very technical. I'm worried about greenwashing. Everything feels a little bit slow and cumbersome. It's a nice to have, a sort of side dish. Probably one for the corporates, not for my brand. It's expensive, and today it feels a little bit uncertain.
Well, sustainability, the truth is, it's big and it is personal, right? So it's very different for different people, particularly if you go around the world. There are a lot of topics anchored to the E of environment: carbon, nature, biodiversity, soil, water. There are a big list attached to the S for social, right? Mental health, access to education, poverty, and the list goes on. So the fact that it is broad, it's good, because there's a lot for brands to go after. But it's also paralyzing at times, because where do we start from? So there's one thing in common, and the thing in common is that we're immersed in it. So we are immersed everywhere in the world in environmental and social issues, and as marketeers, don't we like to turn an issue into an opportunity? There are also good news. There are good news out there, and more, by the way. People care. Well, if this is not where marketers should start from, what is it? There's a positive sentiment. People care. All of us in this room, every marketer in the world wants to grow brand, and I don't think they want to trash the world along the way. And all of us experience climate change on the doorstep. But we're not denying the fact that it's extremely complex and complicated, right? So there's scrutiny, legislation is always changing. There's a paralysis in terms of talking about this stuff. You want to hear a tip? Use AI. There are a lot of commercial priorities, and let's be honest, majority of businesses can keep growing and going after the headroom with business as usual, at least for the next few years. And there is a political appetite, or lack of, playing against this agenda. But we're not going to go there, because actually, despite the fact that this is an afterthought, despite the fact it's the meeting that keeps getting postponed, it's the initiative that, gets the 1% of marketing budget and then gets cut. Yes, all this is true, but there is at the moment the opportunity to join up the sustainability bubble here and the marketing bubble there, and to make it a really powerful approach to brand building.
So, a big question we want to ask ourselves, is sustainability an untapped opportunity? Is there a way for us to reframe some of the challenges that we all face with sustainability today in order to be able to drive growth and build your brand? So we think sustainability needs a reframe. You're all marketers out there. You're all very good at solving problems. You're all very good at delivering reframes. Here are some of the most famous ones we can think about. So from Lego, you're turning from building blocks into building imagination. From soap to self-esteem for Dove. For Apple, it's computers to creativity. Each time looking at a problem through a different angle to be able to deliver or unlock a different type of growth. So our proposal for you today is that we think sustainability can be turned from an afterthought into a creative catalyst. What we mean by that?
So we talked about, definitions and words, and there's a lot of debate on LinkedIn. Should we change the word sustainability? Maybe. but the reality is that we have our own definition that we'd like to share with you, and we think it's about sustainable marketing. So it's still marketing, but it's sustainable. And it is this space at the intersection between strategy integration, and creativity that pulls from ethical, social, and environmental value to make brands more relevant, more different and unique, and more successful. There is more growth to go after if you crack this in the right way. At Diageo, we have created a concept that is simple yet powerful. We think about this as the triple win. Because if a brand wins, nobody should lose. Well, maybe except the competitor. So think about, the brand win fuels the business, so there's no business without a brand win. There is a customer and consumer win, which is quite obvious, but because marketing is consumer and customer centric, but reality is that we've seen so much innovation that has forgotten about the benefit of consumers and customers in this space. And then there must be a people and planet will. And look, marketeers, we have been trained on 4 Ps. Do you remember, right? Price, product, place, promotion. There are 2 more Ps we need to add, people and planet. And that will make our marketing a lot more meaningful and a lot more impactful around this positive wheel. Example.
So what does that mean in the real world? So a really good example is Guinness Africa, actually. So in Kenya, they often struggle with blackouts in the on-trade. So you're having a good time, your drink's beer, then there's a blackout, the music's gone, your beer gets warm, the vibe goes. Bar staff are going to have to go and find expensive diesel generators to switch back on to get the vibe going again. So Diageo worked with the on-trade to help co-finance solar panels on the top of their roofs. Simple solution, but one that worked really well as a triple win. What it meant is that from a customer and consumer perspective, you're getting a more premium experience. You're not getting your blackouts anymore. You're getting your deliciously cold served Guinness. From a people and planet win, obviously no more diesel generators, nice, clean, renewable energy. And for a business win for Diageo, they actually saw that they had significant uplift in footfall in the bars that they called bright bars that had the solar panels on their roofs. So a really good example in the real world of a triple win. On to the next slide. So now we've kind of done a bit of the theory, we're going to go into some of the practice. So today we're going to talk about how we feel there are probably 3 big ways that sustainability can act as a creative catalyst. So Act 1 is about a catalyst to shake up persistent brand growth challenges. Act 2 is about reimagining the ways of doing business. And Act 3 is about injecting a bit more positive emotion into the way that we talk about things. So before we get into some examples, let's stare at some figures. So to test the assertion of when sustainability really can work as a creative catalyst, interesting stat from Boston Consulting Group that said you are 1.4 times more likely to experience breakthrough innovations if you were to incorporate sustainability into your practices. Then, if you are to do that, what's the growth opportunity? So an interesting stat from PwC report showed that there is an expected increase of 25% revenue if you are going to incorporate sustainability into your products. So there's some figures just to get you going. Now we're going to go into some of the thinking around it. So shaking up growth brand challenges. Brand growth challenges, something that we are all very familiar with. It's a very competitive market out there. We all know that there is a lot going on. Growth is like at the forefront of what we need to be thinking about. We think that there needs to be a bit of a reframe in how we think about the question of the role of sustainability can play in delivering on that growth and shaking up those brand growth challenges. So it's not about what should we do for sustainability, but what can sustainability do for us, and rethinking putting sustainability at the forefront of what we need to do to drive growth. Hang on, let you take a quick photo before I spin. Right, real-time example. So Lay's. So the brand growth challenge that Lay's faced was that they had a incoming private label competition. So they really needed to prove the quality and flavour credentials and ultimately be worth paying more for. For years, they talked about flavour as their knowing that was their key category driver. Recently, what they've started to do is leverage the sustainability that they're delivering in their farming to start talking about more of the farming practices, the livelihoods of the farmers, the families of those farmers in local areas, especially in the US. I don't know if you guys might have seen the Super Bowl ad that Lay's did. It was all around families of farmers, underpinned by the sustainability that they deliver. And what was interesting about the switch is while they moved from talking about flavor to talking about basically being made out of real potatoes, they saw quality perceptions grow, and that then had the default effect of increasing their great taste and therefore leading to penetration growth. So that's one example. A second example, if that one was environmental, this one was more around people. So let's look at Gatorade. So the growth challenge they had was one around penetration. So they were struggling to be relevant for younger audiences, something I know a lot of brands often face. It's always on the year one plans that I've seen. So what they did, a really interesting case study in India, in big cities like Mumbai, what they were finding is that teens were falling out of sport because the busy cities were so crammed, there's just no sporting facilities left. There's literally nowhere for them to play. So Gatorade, obviously being known for sport, they teamed up with Google and they created an app which was able to track areas of Mumbai that were really clear and free temporarily for them to be able to set up pitches and courts to be able to play. And that app attracted youth to come and play on those areas while they were relatively free. Brilliant triple win example because it's bringing out salience and relevance for Gatorade, it's giving consumers somewhere to play sport again, and it's allowing sort of well-being and sport from a people perspective.
So, reminding you the question, yeah? From what can we do for sustainability to what can sustainability do for us? And this is a very interesting story. Smirnoff Ice, it's a big business for Diageo. It sells over 1 billion euros only in Europe. And so we tackled a challenge in my team originally and thought, okay, what should we do for sustainability? And obviously the carbon footprint of the glass bottle shouted at us as we need to fix it. And so we went in and thought, okay, if we switch from glass bottle to aluminum can, we're going to dramatically reduce the carbon footprint. We went to speak with the general managers, and guess what answer did we get? No, why should I do that? So we reframe it. What can sustainability do to support this transition? So we went back with a better story that was actually around the triple win, thinking about, okay, what can the aluminum can offer to consumers that the glass bottle can't? It's portable, it's fun, there are multi-packs, it's also lighter to carry. What is the benefit for customers, you know, serving a can versus a glass bottles? And we built a much better narrative around it. And now the GM said yes, and all the markets are transitioning from glass to can. You may have seen the campaign is live now. Are we talking about sustainability? No, we aren't. Are we reducing the carbon footprint of Smirnoff Ice and boosting the growth of the brand? Yes, we are. Another example close to my heart is Talisker. Again, what can sustainability do for Talisker? Talisker is a Scottish whiskey. It's made literally on the shores of the Isle of Skye. Maybe some of you have visited the distillery, and has always been positioned around enjoying the great outdoors with your mates. Then we thought, okay, how can we leverage this a bit more, the position of the distillery and the positioning of the brand? And we decided to partner with the Blue Marine Foundation and Protect the Ocean. And we've launched a limited edition. Every £3 per bottle are donated for ocean preservation. And again, this is a very good example. The brand is growing, equity metrics are growing, of what can sustainability do for brands. And we have a little video. And I'm going to plant a seed here. Obviously, these are positive emotions associated to the ocean and to a brand. And we're going to talk about this later.
Okay, on to Act 2. This one is around the way we do business and totally reimagining it and using sustainability at the heart of that. So when we think about business blockers today, you're all marketeers. I'm sure you're all familiar with this kind of thinking. So, there's supply chain or partner issues that we all face, speed of implementation, getting things done quickly and needed, cash flow, or the fact that actually to do anything remarkable or new or different often requires scale, and that might require scale that you as a marketeer don't necessarily have working alone. Lots of different constraints to deal with when thinking about how to do business as a marketeer. So we've taken a little bit of inspiration from Adam Morgan and Mark Barden's book around a beautiful constraint, because here there's a really interesting mindset shift that they talk about, this idea of going from can't do something, to can if we use other people, can if we resource it differently, can if we substitute it for something different. We think this is an interesting parallel here to the way that we think about sustainability. So what if we were to use this can-if mentality and take something that feels like a blocker in business and put sustainability right at the center of the can-if, sustainability becoming that if. So what do we mean by that? What are some examples?
I'm just flagging that I'm not clicking the slides. I think there is an AI tool that clicks the slide at the right moment. I don't know. Anyway, so this is an example of we can if. Imagine you are the brand manager of Smirnoff and you need to grow the market share of the brand in the on-trade. The on-trade is bar and restaurants. We gave this person a constraint. Say, you need to grow market share, but you need to reduce the carbon footprint at the same time. Guess what the first answer was? No, we can't do this, because as the brand grows, the carbon footprint grows. Then we went back and did more work and understood that actually we can grow Smirnoff in the on-trade and reduce the carbon footprint if we eliminate the single-use glass bottles, which are the big driver of the carbon footprint of the brand. So we've created this proprietary bespoke unit that serves spirits as most beers are served in the bars. So there's a keg that gets refilled, used and refilled at the factory, and there are only 2 glass bottles in the bar that get used to serve cocktails. Let me remind you about the triple win. So the triple win here is that first and foremost we reduce at least 50% the carbon footprint, so there's a big planet win of the Smirnoff glass bottles in the on-trade. Then there's a win at customer level, so the bar owner has a huge cost saving. We have estimated that this was trialed in Dublin. An average Dublin bar or pub has 12,000 euros per year of cost of handling glass bottles, and that is a huge saving. And then there is a consumer win, because you're still at the bar and you're still getting served your made-for-you cocktail from a bottle that is even prettier than the single-use glass bottles that we send around. And there is a brand win, because guess what? The customers, so the bar owners, really want this unit. They save money, they make the bar look more premium, so the market share of the brand in the on-trade will grow. We have piloted this in Ireland and are investing to grow this at scale. Big, beautiful example of how to reframe sustainability and also challenge the current business models so that there's beautiful innovation that fuels profit and also fuels positive impact. The second example is of a different nature, and it's about luxury. Now, we always associate luxury with more, right? And in the world of spirits, this means heavier glass bottles that have a bigger carbon footprint. Now, Johnny Walker stands for progress, keep walking. We wanted to challenge and break through the standards of the industry, and we have created the lightest 70 cl whiskey bottle in the world without compromising on the desirability or the luxury appeal of the packaging. And this beauty has won a Guinness record just recently. So let's see this story. the reason why I really like this example, it's because it stresses the importance of the desirability of sustainability. A lot of long words that are hard for me to say, but that's it. We should never forget about how we need to make this desirable to make it successful. And obviously there's been a brand benefit, but the beauty of this exercise is that we've shared the technology. We're using this technology to lightweight the entire Diageo portfolio and the portfolio of our competitors. So the beauty of sustainability is sometimes it breaks the walls of competition. Now, I'm going to quickly go through 3 examples, but I wanted to sense check who knows that the United Nations has launched at Cannes Lions a couple of weeks ago a blueprint for sustainable growth. Raise your hand if you knew about it. Very few. Okay, so I invite you to Google it. It's the UN Blueprint for Sustainable Growth. So it's been launched by the United Nations as a supporting, as an appendix of the Sustainable Development Goals to support businesses in the pursuit of sustainable growth. And we contributed to this blueprint as Diageo, but we have here a few examples of brands that have really embraced sustainable growth. MasterCard has been amazing at seeing an opportunity in the disaster of the emigration from Ukraine to Poland when the Ukraine war started. And they realized all these refugees were crowding in Warsaw without a job, without a place where to go. And so they used their data to create an app and help people find jobs and areas in broader Poland where to relocate. And they relocated 200,000 people in just a few weeks. And this is the power of brands. So there's been a brand win because the equity of MasterCard went up, the market share went up, and they really helped those people in hard times. So this is a fantastic story. I invite you to look up for it. Changing completely the sector, Natura is one brand to look at, challenging the status quo in the beauty industry. They created the very first concentrated moisturizers. They have, really created a new ritual for consumers at home. You make your moisturizers from a high quality, high concentrated starting kit, and they sold twice the expected sales. So one to look at is Natura, and my beloved Kiwi brand, Zespri. So this is obviously a different approach, but we have Tony Chocolonely doing the open supply chain. Zespri is doing something very similar with their farmers. But it's even more special because what they've done, they've rethought the supply chain and also their P&L. So basically they're capping their EBITDA to 1%, and when they go above it, they redistribute the income to the farmers. So they have very, happy farmers that are loyal, and they keep growing. You know that Zespri has sold last year 200 million trays of kiwis. That's minimum 6, maximum 12 kiwis, lots of kiwis. And there is another benefit. Kiwis are healthy, right? So they're also supporting the food system transformation. Into deep dive number 3.
If you haven't enjoyed yourself so far, hopefully this one ends us on a high. It's all about being positive. So I guess we are living in somewhat of a doom and gloom world, especially when you start thinking about sustainability and the future that we're in. We propose that we should be thinking about positive emotions when we talk about sustainability, thinking about how we can turn emotion into effective storytelling. So why is that important? So Peter Field did a really interesting study last year where he was looking at the cost of dull campaigns. And what he means by that is thinking about the industry's tendency to focus on the rational rather than the emotional in what we're saying in our storytelling. And he found that looking across a suite of ads, it was costing the industry £9.2 million extra a year to just compete in terms of creating the same business effects for a rational ad than a famous one. So really, the lack of emotion in communications is costing the industry money. So we think there's an interesting opportunity for sustainability here. Let's think about it. If you are feeling a bit out of sorts, go outside, look at the sky, touch some grass, hug a tree. You're going to feel better. There is goodness in sustainability, so let's use it. What we mean by this is that we think that there is a real opportunity to pull out the positive emotions from positive impact, and that will help not only encourage people to engage in what you're saying, but create effectiveness storytelling for your brands.
So positive impact equal positive emotions. It also works the other way around, but this is the story of Don Julio. Don Julio is our leading tequila. It's made in Jalisco. It's a region in Mexico that has significant water scarcity. And the company, of course, for business resilience reasons, has been investing in water restoration programs for decades. And when my team came in, we decided to start to integrate positive storytelling and tell the story of these water programs through the brand, because that we could have then unlocked a triple win, right? Otherwise, the water programs are a cost only. They will remain an investment, but they will become an investment in the brand. And so for the first time, the love of the land, which is the positioning, Por Amor a Mexico, the positioning of the brand, became, the home to tell other type of stories, the story of how we're giving back more water than it takes. And guess what happened to the equity metrics of the brand, the market share of the brand? Because water is a top of mind topic in a lot of places in the world, and people care.
Another example is some work that we did with Mars Corporate. So the brief for this was to talk about the progress that the Mars Corporate had been making with their net zero story over the years. On paper, that's a relatively dry brief. So what we did is we took their most famous ads from some of their most famous brands. So it was Bounty, Twix, Snickers. And we reused those ads. We recycled them. And we created some humorous ads by putting funny little faces over the top of our famous characters to talk about some of the work that Mars Corporate had been doing. Interestingly, it went through System 1 and it scored 4 stars, which for a corporate ad around sustainability net positive targets is pretty impressive. What was great about the campaign is we reused the ads. So the carbon saving that we created from the production alone was nearly 2 tons of carbon. And then what was great about it is it dialed up our rep trap scores for Mars Corporate, and that has a huge market capital increase when you start looking at the potential earnings. So it's an example of taking something which could be seen as very dull and dialing up the humor inside to deliver something that turned out to be very engaging.
And talking about positive impact, positive emotion, who doesn't like the ocean? Right? And Tiffany has decided to, use their most valuable and meaningful brand asset, their blue 1837, to create even more value for the ocean. And so they have been active for years in protecting the ocean. This case study has been presented at Cannes Lions a couple of weeks ago, so I really invite you to Google it. It's on YouTube. And they are on track to preserve 13 million square meters of ocean. This is the size of the United States. I'm going to take the chance to just mention the film from David Attenborough, Ocean. So if you haven't seen it, please watch it. That is an incredible story of how you can reframe a massive and also disturbing issue of how we're fishing everywhere in the ocean into a great opportunity for growth. And there is a massive positive story in there. And I think, if you work on a brand that can do something about the ocean, just do it.
So there you have it, our 3 reframes. Those are our 3 acts. We believe that to harness the creative catalyst potential, we want to leave you with 3 ways of thinking. Turning from... Yeah, it's okay. Nearly there. Turning from thinking of what can we do for sustainability to what can sustainability do for us, and start to shake up some of those brand growth challenges. How might we reimagine ways of doing business? thinking about from can't, injecting sustainability to become the can if. And then the final one is thinking about how we move from somewhat dull delivery, where there is an emotion less void in what we're talking about, to dialing up the positive cues that you can find within sustainability stories.
Thank you for listening. I guess our final message is to think about sustainability with a reframe mindset. Think about the triple win. How can this unlock growth? And think about your marketing skills put, at the service of delivering business growth, positive impact, and obviously delight our consumers and customers. If you have questions, please feel free to connect. You've seen that we have given you a lot of examples, and there's a lot of good work happening out there. So I'm definitely on the glass half full for this topic. Thank you very much.
Well done.
What a session, guys. I mean, were you feeling the energy and the love and the reframing as much as I did? I mean, I think I've learned a lot, and it was an incredible wrap-up for a brilliant 3 days conference. So I think we're ready to do justice to the MedFest, be less boring, and go partying. So the big closing partying has started at the Med Marquee, at the back, go round and round by the Hexagon stage. So you should not miss it for the world, and I really look forward to see you all there in a moment and back here next year. Thank you. Thank you.